NASCAR turning right and left, racing at Watkins Glen for race number 2 of the 2024 playoffs that saw more playoff drama and a surprise late race winner. But heading into the cutoff race this weekend at Bristol, who's in, who's out, and who really is in a must-win.
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Me?
Can I not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, he's going! Way to go, boys!
One hell of a job, man. One hell of a job. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to say it. Watkins Glen might be the best road course that NASCAR goes to. Hands down. Fight me in the comments below. Welcome on into Shifting Gears. I am Alan Bailey. This wasn't supposed to be a wild card race. It wasn't supposed to be the, it's going to throw everything out the window race. It's not going to be the upset winner race. At least we didn't think so. And sure enough, upset winner. Amazing last lap battle. You had the NASCAR Cup Series drivers all losing their minds, going 5, 6, 7 wide, going out of 1 and up the S's, and guess what? That didn't work. You saw the importance of safety measures. You saw the importance of road racing. And yes, a change that we didn't think was going to affect the outcome of this race literally determined the outcome of this race. So much to talk about. We're going to get into it. Before we do, though, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you don't miss a video. And of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Let's go lap by lap, or at least the big bullet points lap by lap in order that they happened. And it starts on lap 1, because of course it does. Lap number 1, you had Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, Corey LaJoie, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., all involved in this accident coming out of the dogleg. It's lap 1, guys. Calm down. I know restarts are crazy in the Cup Series, but just a little bit of professionalism, a little bit of brain smarts here could have gone a long way. And right out of the get-go, Ryan Blaney, your defending NASCAR Cup Series champ, out of the race before the completion of lap 1. Even before he got to the garage area, NASCAR said, nah, your car, donezo. Get out of here. You're out of this race. Apparently, and this is the rule, this is official, that whenever you cannot drive your car back to the garage area, whenever there is a broken anything on the car that prevents it from driving back to the garage area, NASCAR automatically says you're done. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, because when they looked at the 12 car, they thought the reason it couldn't roll back to the garage area was because, 4 flat tires. That's going to prevent me from rolling. And yes, it should have been a let's take a look at it, then make that determination. I both love and hate the rule that if you can't drive it back, you're out of the race. Because no, I don't want the guy who flipped it, who's got broken damage out there, basically being a moving chicane, especially into in a road course, being in the way. I don't want that. But at the same time, with Ryan Blaney, maybe let's take a look at it. Maybe let's actually see what's going on before we make this determination. And yes, it turns out that Ryan Blaney in that 12 Ford actually did have a broken steering column. That is repairable. That could have been repaired in probably 20, 30 minutes or so. And with how this race went, essentially he would have been maybe 20-ish laps down, give or take. That's better than finishing dead last, which is what happened to Ryan Blaney. And is he in danger or not? We will check the points a little later on. Now, stage 1, won by Martin Truex Jr. Stage number 2, Ross Chastain gets that one. I don't want to say they were unbusy, but we saw different strategies playing out. And I don't want to get into the whole who had the better strategy, who was thinking what. No, let's just actually fast forward to lap 47. Right after the final stage started, you had Denny Hamlin putting it 3 wide on Kyle Larson and Brad Keselowski, and that put Denny Hamlin into the wall. Yes, he was involved early on in the accident on lap number 1, and he frankly didn't try to race his car last week at Atlanta, and now he is out of the playoffs, effectively. He is behind the cut line going into the Bristol night race next week. Let's talk about Denny Hamlin here for a second, because Hamlin just continues to be stupid. Like, there's no other way around it. He's pulling stupid moves on the racetrack. Deciding not to race last week felt a little bit like a protest for the drama happening with the charters at NASCAR in 2311, the team he co-owns with Michael Jordan. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but either way, he hangs out in the back at Atlanta, chooses not to race, chooses not to go for the points, and ends up getting in the last lap crash and finishing crappy anyway. Okay, sure, why not? Then he comes into the Glen and once again doesn't have a good qualifying effort. He admitted that, yeah, that's on me. I had a bad qualifying effort. It's on the driver. And then gets involved in a couple of accidents. The lap one, I can kind of say, you know what, that's lap one craziness. But this, putting it 3 wide like this, especially whenever he's around Kyle Larson, he just expects Larson to kind of lay down for him. And that didn't happen here. And the 11 car ends up in the wall. Big surprise. And now he's on the outside looking in. I'm sure he's on his podcast this week griping about how, you know, it's everybody else. It's not me. I don't know. By the way, I'm not going to talk about my drama with NASCAR. Nothing's changed on that. I'll continue to make subtle jabs. With about 13 laps to go, we see a caution for debris coming from Harrison Burton's car. That sets up a restart with about, give or take 8 laps to go. And on this restart, going up through the S's, cars pile up and stack up, I should say, and it ultimately means that the 24 of William Byron gets onto, not into, onto the 6 car. He launches up and gets onto the driver's window and driver door. Very dangerous situation. And to me, this incident proves this is why we have window nets. This is why those are so tight. And this is why those window nets encompass and close so much of the driver compartment, because God forbid if we saw that tire actually get up into the actual door, it could have easily taken off that window net. And having that on there very secure, NASCAR being very strict about the window net is precisely for this reason. Issues like this, when cars get up on top of one another. I haven't seen this happen at Watkins Glen in a hot damn minute with the Cup cars, but damn, it was a little alarming. I was sitting there going, okay, Brad's good, right? Get the 24 off of him. Get him off of him. Check Brad. Brad's good, right? Brad was good, thank God. But scary moment right there, and I'm really glad everybody walked away from that one. Another restart a few laps later with 4 laps to go in the race. We were going 4 and 5 wide coming off of one. There was no way everybody was going to make it through the top of the hill and through the S's. And sure enough, massive pile up. No idea where it started. It just accordioned, and there's no way around it. It happened. And unfortunately, the 45 of Tyler Rennick gets into the 8, spun around, they come together, and they come to a stop, causing another caution, setting up a green-white checker. So on lap number 90, we actually see this green-white checker, and damn, it's going to be a tense restart. You have the 17 leading over Shane Van Gisbergen in the 16 behind him. You have the 77 of Carson Hocevar, who we'll get to in a little bit, on this restart. You have the 17 powering out in front of them, and then you have SVG getting around all of them and taking the lead on this green-white checker start. Amazing start. Then in the white flag, SVG, with too much speed into the bus stop, he actually scrapes the wall in that new section entering the bus stop. That NASCAR very famously changed for this weekend. It allows the 17 to get to him, get into him through the carousel, and then guess what? The 17 goes on to pick up his first win of the 2024 season. RFK winning with the 6 car at Darlington earlier this year, and now the 17 out at the Glen. Big moment for RFK. First time in a hot minute that both cars have been in victory lane. I want to sincerely start with a massive shout out to Spire. They had a team-defining weekend, and I'm being sincere when I say that. A lot of changes happening over there next year. It's a 3-car organization. This year, they just expanded to a 3-car organization. You bring in Carson Hocevar into the 77 this year. In the 71, you have Zane Smith on loan. We already know that Michael McDowell is going to be getting into that 71 car next year, and we know that Corey LaJoie, who's been in the 7 car pretty much since this team has been in existence, is stepping out of that 7 car. We don't officially know who's in the 7 car yet. But there's a lot of changes happening over there. And whenever you have 2 rookies on your team, you're kind of crossing your fingers hoping, we're going to have a good year and that these rookies are going to take care of their equipment. And I got to tell you, I was very impressed by Spire Motorsports today. Very impressed. I did not expect Carson Hocevar to finish 3rd. Best career finish. First time that Spire Motorsports has 2 cars in the top 5, with Hocevar in the 77 leading the way in 3rd. You had the 71 of Zane Smith coming home 5th, and you had the 7 of Corey LaJoie coming home 8th. First time all 3 cars have been in the top 10. First time that there's been 2 cars in the top 5. This is an extraordinarily impressive run. Even after Corey LaJoie did Corey LaJoie things and continued to prove he doesn't really belong on the racetrack and that he's continuously in the way in the Cup Series, still comes home with a top 10. That's impressive. It's extraordinarily impressive. And you have to honestly wonder, what's this team going to do next year? The 77 and Hocevar in there feels like this could be a real threat in a couple years for championships and wins. And I'm being sincere. The 71, you know that Michael McDowell is bringing his team over from the 34 and essentially going to take that 71 and pick up where they left off, or at least that's the theory. And the 7 car, we don't know what's happening next year, but Rodney Childress is going to be the crew chief of that car, and you know they're going to be dangerous, very dangerous at some point down the road. So Spire, honestly, this feels like a turning point. It feels like they've turned up the wick. All of these cars have found significant speed in the last few weeks, and they're carrying that into 2025. Even though we're going to see 2 new drivers in the stable over there of the 3 cars, you're still going to see a lot of speed out of Spire in 2025 and beyond. Mark my words. Juan Pablo Montoya, famously, came back for this one. They made a big deal. He's over at Toyota. He's over at 2311. He's gonna be back at the track that he's won races before at. Didn't exactly live up to the hype. He had moments of brilliance. It was cool to see him in that car. Very cool looking number 50 car that they put him in, but he comes home 32nd, a lap down. Disappointing day, unfortunately. Do I expect to see Juan Pablo Montoya back in the Cup Series at some point down the road? Maybe, maybe not. The whole reason that 2311 has kind of started a part-time 3rd car is to bring in other talent, yes, but it's also to kind of get that car going and ready for next year. Supposedly, hopefully, they're still expanding to 3 cars for next season, and because of that, I think it was kind of like, hey, let's get this pit crew ready. Hey, let's get engineers, let's get the team ready to go, essentially. And I don't necessarily think that Juan Pablo Montoya will be back in the Cup car down the road. There's nothing on the books right now. Will he do it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I really don't see him doing it unless it's with a high caliber team like 2311, like Joe Gibbs Racing. I don't see it happening, and I don't think Project 91 is necessarily going to be kicking off a whole lot of races next year. But again, I could be wrong. We'll have to wait to see. All right, so let's talk playoff drivers. This was a horrible day for playoff drivers. The first playoff driver, the highest finishing playoff driver in the field today, finished 6th. You know who it was? Chase Briscoe. Stewart-Haas Racing. Props, where they're due. They didn't have the best day, but they came home 6th. And the other playoff driver that finished in the top 10, that's right, only 2 playoff drivers in the top 10, was the 2 car of Austin Cindric, who comes home 10th. What? Are you kidding me? Let's go through the rest of the finishing order. You had the 5 car and Kyle Larson coming home 12th. You had the 99 of Daniel Suarez coming home 13th. The 20 car of Bell coming home 14th. 15th, Joey Logano. You had Alex Bowman coming home 18th and Chase Elliott coming home 19th. What? What? Like, I am sincerely blown away, confused, alarmed. Like, this is a weird playoff finishing order, sincerely. This might be one of the wackiest playoffs that we've seen so far in NASCAR's era, sincerely. The rest of the playoff drivers, you had Martin Truex Jr. coming home 20th, you had Ty Gibbs coming home 22nd, Denny Hamlin 23rd, you had Harrison Burton coming home 24th, not so surprising, the 6 car Brad Keselowski coming home 26th, Tyler Reddick at a road course in the playoffs coming home 27th? Huh? You had William Byron, who won this race a year ago, 2 laps down in 34th. And you had Ryan Blaney, your defending champ, coming home dead last, 38th, 92 laps down. This was a wacky one. This is just insanity. And look at these playoff standings going into the Bristol night race. Obviously, we knew Joey Logano was locked in, Chris Bell and Austin Cindric, and I would even say Alex Bowman are more or less locked in, even though they're not there mathematically. Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, all pretty healthy. And I would even put Kyle Larson and William Byron, who were plus 26 and 25 respectfully, in the more or less safe category. But from 10th on down, oh boy, you have Chase Briscoe, who's 6 to the good, Ty Gibbs, who's 6 to the good, Denny Hamlin, 6 points out of the round of 12 at the moment. Same with Brad Keselowski, who's 12 out, Martin Truex Jr., 14 out, and Harrison Burton, who is 20 out. Now, I honestly think Harrison Burton was always the joke of, yeah, he'll go out first round, and Harrison's doing Harrison things, but who cares? He got himself a Daytona victory and the 100th for the Wood brothers, so it's all good. Martin Truex Jr., I'm surprised he's this good. Honestly, I expected him to be dead last with how he's been running. Brad Keselowski isn't in championship form. Denny Hamlin is not in championship form, and I don't buy the whole, it's 2 bad weeks, he'll make it up. Denny Hamlin has been out to lunch for pretty much the last 10 races, give or take, and that's because him and Michael Jordan are more focused on off-track stuff like the charter negotiations and the fact that 2311 may or may not have charters next year if NASCAR actually holds to their actual threats. You have, honestly, Ty Gibbs, who's doing about what I thought he was going to do. You have Chase Briscoe, who's doing about what I thought he was going to do, but everybody else is weird. I am very pleasantly surprised at Daniel Suarez. I did not expect him to be this good in the playoffs, and I don't even think he's this good. I just think he's keeping his nose clean, and everybody else is wrecking around him, and chaos is everywhere. But other than that, it's a very wacky situation heading into the Bristol night race. Couple of notes. I do want to remind y'all, CW is kicking off the Xfinity broadcasts this coming weekend at Bristol. This Friday, you'll be able to literally turn on CW, which is a free channel for everyone in the United States if you have the rabbit ears or the digital antenna. And yes, you can go onto the CW app for free and watch and stream NASCAR Xfinity races. I sincerely think this is going to kick off a new era for the Xfinity series, and I think we're going to see massive viewers flock to the CW and flock to these NASCAR Xfinity series broadcasts. They're going to continue basically for the next 8 years all of the Xfinity broadcasts exclusively, which I'm excited for because you're putting it on a channel that is free for all Americans, and you're putting it on an app that is free to stream in the United States. And then when you go overseas, it gets kind of interesting depending on what country you're in. But for the most part, there are a significant amount of free options for people to watch the Xfinity series. That is extraordinarily exciting for me. I cannot wait because I have been screaming for NASCAR to create a streaming app that I can pay NASCAR. I want to give my money to NASCAR and they don't want it. NASCAR, I want to write you a big fat check so that I can watch your races all year long. Being serious, how much would you pay for a NASCAR streaming app to watch every truck, Xfinity, Cup race, practice, qualifying, exclusive shows, everything? How much would you pay for that? Personally, I would pay $20 a month. I would prefer to pay like $5, $10 a month, but I would pay as much as $20 a month all year. And I would even pay for it in the winter when NASCAR doesn't race, because I am being serious when I say this. I want NASCAR to create this. I want to give them my money, and they don't want it. It baffles me. NASCAR fans, let me know in the comments. Do you want to give NASCAR money for a NASCAR streaming service so I don't have to buy Sling and buy the Fox app and buy the NBC and buy Peacock and buy the CW and all these other apps? I just want one singular app so that I can give NASCAR my money. NASCAR, won't you take my money, please, and give it to the teams, preferably? I'm just saying. Or hell, maybe put a fresh coat of paint on your racetracks. Or even better yet, put up a scoring pylon. I know it terrifies you to spend money on upgrading your facilities, but NASCAR, I want to give you my money so that you can run your business better. It's not hard. Maybe it is. I'm excited though, because whenever it's the Bristol night race, it's good, no matter the circumstances, and you know it's going to be absolutely insane this weekend. It's going to be Saturday night. Check your local listings. I don't know where you watch it. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Thanks, NBC. But I'm very excited for it. It's going to be a heck of a race. Congratulations to Chris Buescher and everybody over at RFK, because it was a heck of a victory. Let me know what you think about everything that we saw out at the Glen this weekend in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you don't miss a video. And of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Want to thank you so much for watching, for shifting gears. I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.